When you first think of elder abuse, you may think of seniors being abused physically. But theft is also a form of abuse. Big one. Seniors are often targeted for their money. News Channel 5 consumer investigator Jennifer Krause found that can almost be as traumatic for the victims as something physical.
That's right. And we're talking about a very vulnerable population. And sadly, there is no shortage of folks willing to take advantage of them. Georgia Evans had Alzheimer's disease, and after her husband Richard was diagnosed with a brain tumor, she depended on others to care for her. But Carol Williamson, one of Evans' caregivers at the nursing home where she lived, is accused of betraying that trust. Police say she stole the couple's checkbook, Evans' Social Security card, and ID, and Williamson and her two sisters tried to cash 15 checks totaling more than $10,000. As police put it, the sisters preyed on this sick elderly couple as one died.
Unfortunately, it happens a lot.
Jim Schulman, head of the Tennessee Commission on Aging, says elder abuse these days more often than not involves money.
I mean, we hear stories of, grandkids who take their grandmother for thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and leave them in a situation where all of a sudden they have nothing.
And then there are people who take advantage of seniors' trusty nature in business dealings, like contractors, roofers, or in Donna Seawart's case, her financial advisor, who's accused of swindling money from half a dozen elderly clients.
I am from a different generation. A handshake is good. People are, their word is good.
Sewart says she lost everything, her insurance, retirement savings, and she fears she will soon lose her home.
At the time, I thought he was doing the right thing and knowing what he's talking about.
Your clients say you stole their money.
Absolutely not
their
true.
Life savings.
That's not true.
That financial advisor, as we previously reported, is now facing federal fraud charges, while the nursing home employee, who was supposed to be caring for Georgia Evans, was charged with forgery, theft, and financial exploitation of the elderly. But Schulman says seniors are generally reluctant or embarrassed to tell anyone they've been scammed, so the financial abuse goes unreported. So the people who are doing this get away with it.
That's right.
That's why he says there are no true hard numbers of how often this really happens. But this is at least one indicator. The state's abuse registry has the names of people who've been found guilty of abusing, in most cases, someone over 60. And in the last 2 years alone, more than 230 names have been added to this list.
The elderly person becomes the victim of undue influence.
State lawmakers were so concerned they created the Special Elder Abuse Task Force to come up with ways to better protect Tennessee's aging population. One of their recommendations was to get financial institutions more involved.
I think we want the banks to have the ability to stop, or at least have some type of way to stop a transaction if they feel like something is wrong.
Like the bank did in this case. When the nursing home worker and her sisters tried to cash one of Georgia Evans' checks, an alert and suspicious bank employee insisted that Evans come in with them. The sisters returned later with one of them dressed as an old woman, wearing a wig and pajamas. That's when the bank called police.
Keep an eye on folks.
And Schulman says if something seems not right, ask questions, check it out. It's better than another victim of elder abuse having to live with that regret.
I should never have listened to him.
And there are many scams out there that target seniors as well, including one aptly named the grandparent scam. Now, the National Council on Aging has some great information on these scams and how to avoid them. We've got a link to that information on our website. Just go to newschannel5.com.
It's just so tragic to see these stories. What about this Elder Abuse Task Force? What's next for them?
Well, they've turned in their final report to the legislature. They did that earlier this year. And then over the summer, they're going to be working on specific proposals and solutions, like the idea of getting banks more involved, getting all the state agencies that deal with seniors to work together. And they're also going to take a look at whether lawmakers need to beef up the penalties for folks who are caught committing this elder abuse.
We'll keep following it. Thank you, Jennifer.